Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream on the Polkadot social media accounts. Today, we have with us the folks from Mandala Chain. We have Anta, Adrian, and Michael. And I'm really excited to chat with you guys because next week, Mandala is basically hosting some people from the Polkadot ecosystem in Bali for Coinfest, which we'll get to later. And, you know, I think the use cases that Mandala presents for emerging markets and in particular Indonesia to start off with are really compelling, really exciting. And so I think our audience is really going to love learning about those today. So I wanted to first just come to you, Anta, and kind of hear the origin story of Mandala Chain. From what I understand, you were working in development with the Indonesian government back in the early 2010s. And then you identified some issues that could only really be solved with blockchain. So why don't you just kind of quickly walk us through how this all came about?
Yeah, thank you, Evan. So starting in 2013, basically, it's not 2010. So I'm starting to collaborate with handling the government project for starting on creating initiative for smart city. But the problem that is like every single city and government in Indonesia is basically creating a data silos. Every single department had their own database. They even don't have a data structure. They're quite right. And the structures of security is still a problem. So what we are seeing, like when I learned about blockchain, it seems like it's creating this is the this technology can fill in the gap of data integrity and the security, and even creating the availability of the data. So this is how it's starting to starting blockchain, learning about blockchain, and then I'm trying to introducing blockchain. We trying to advocate, doing the advocation to all of the government institution to learn about blockchain itself.
Got it. And I should just mention to the viewers as well that you were summoned in by the Indonesian government just before this call to have an important meeting. So that's why you're in the car and in transit. I think it's really interesting. I heard you. I've heard you previously mention sort of like the social fabric of how Balinese culture and villages work with the Banjar. I'm probably mispronouncing this, but it is sort of like already a decentralized system. Oh, we lost Anta, but maybe one of you guys can pick it up. So basically, there's this thing called the Banjar. It's like a local community government, and it kind of operates like a decentralized ledger. Maybe, Michael, you can kind of tell us about that.
Yeah, so each individual village is broken up into kind of little subset communities. So it'll be kind of like your neighborhood, your streets, and it might be 50 families or something like that. And essentially, it works the same way like a node would. And so you've got the full architecture of like the local government, which is run by these little subset of like a collection of family villages. Anta can probably explain more that he's back, but just explaining a Banjar, Anta.
Yeah, so Banjar concept is starting when Bali is joining the Republic of Indonesia. So before Republic of Indonesia, we are every single there is a lot of kingdoms, small kingdom in around of Bali. There is like 9 of them and more of it. And when we are joining Republic Indonesia, we changing the mechanisms to be like a Banjar. Banjar is like a small community hub for one village. One village can having like more than 5 Banjar like that. So basically, how they're working decentralized, and every single decision they're creating a consensus for making a decision. This concept in Indonesia we call it musyawarah and gotong royong. This is basically the basic decentralization mechanisms in Indonesia.
Got it. So when you're going and meeting with these government officials, in particular in Bali, explaining decentralization is probably something that they just inherently grasp and understand. Super interesting. And what does the word mandala mean, by the way? Does that have any special meaning to it?
I think Michael, please. You love to explaining this.
Yeah, I do love it. And I can't take credit for it because this was an Anta idea. But the word mandala effectively means cosmos. And so the cosmos of the universe. And so the whole idea and premise, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, is that we didn't necessarily anticipate on being just one mainnet, but that our ecosystem could be a collection of blockchains and a collection of an extended ecosystem through the Polkadot ecosystem of blockchains. And so we do know that there is already a project called Cosmos, and the reason why they're using that name is very similar to the reason why we're using it. So in meditation in Bali, you get these mandala artworks, which is kind of like our logo on this side, stacked on top of each other, and they kind of spin independently, and it can be used for meditation. And it's meant to be a representation of all the different levels of the universe, all the different levels of the cosmos.
Got it. Okay, that's really cool. Actually, I like that it has a special meaning to it that relates back to Bali. So, Michael, while we have you up on the screen, maybe you could kind of pick up where. So Anta was working in government. He identified these issues that can only be solved with blockchain, and then he ran into you. When and where was this? And what were you doing previously, or what are you doing with Republic?
Yeah, so I had a Web2 business back in the day. I used to work all over Asia, consultancy firm. And so I had set up shop already with me and my wife in Bali. And so I moved in 2018 just because it was a geographically good area for my work. I'd been in blockchain already since about 17. And then obviously in 20, we know what happened. We all got locked in our houses and my whole Web2 business got shut down. And so then I already had local staff. I had a local business partner. And so we thought, well, what are we going to do during this time? I just started going deep down the blockchain rabbit hole. And then we realized that there was no real good content or education made in Bahasa Indonesia, the local language. And so we started producing content and it took off. Like within 9 months, we had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. We became one of the largest blockchain communities in the country, like very quickly. And as soon as the borders opened up a little bit and we could start going to events again, and we kind of crawled out of our caves, all of the blockchain community throughout like Indonesia started connecting, and I instantly met with Anta, and we very quickly realized we had similar visions for growing this industry. He had all of these government connections. I had all of this community, and we thought, well, hang on, we've got a bit of a match made in heaven here for sort of building something pretty special.
And so this was 2021 or during COVID, right?
Yep.
Okay. And so what is the vision or the mission? You said you guys, you had a similar vision for what you wanted to do. What exactly is it?
Well, I think it's all about adoption. And Anta comes from this angle where like the government had started already asking him to, produce technology that could be, I guess, a solution to some of their issues. And so he was thinking, well, okay, well, how do we actually implement this in a way that it can actually still be decentralized and it's not just going to be some centralized network? And then obviously I had a community of people that were very interested in blockchain. It already started all the early adopters from the country. And so we thought, well, hang on, if we're going to actually provide these solutions to the government and solutions which the community would end up using, well, it's probably best that we, sort of figure out a way that this can stay decentralized and permissionless. And that's where the architecture for Mandala was born.
Amazing. And so you guys are, obviously based in Indonesia. Did you want to add on something there? I heard someone say something.
Yeah, so whatever that we are seeing that the blockchain technology is more further need a lot of adaptation, and the real cases, and there's a lot of problem that can be solved in Indonesia using this technology, and with this technology we can creating a new mechanisms, a new way to protecting and also creating data integrity, and we'll be giving a new era of digitalization for the futures. So this is why me and Michael click it together. When we are talking about this, basically my company my company is basically a IT company that is focused on Web3. We're creating the marketplace, but we have the product and we need the community. So this is why me and Michael are joining together and seeing eye to eye for whatever that we want to build. We need a new ecosystem that giving much more about adoption than only about it's not only about hype, but it's also how we can adopt this technology.
Got it. Adrian, I want to come to you next. So you guys are clearly based in Indonesia. You have sort of global aspirations to expand eventually, but starting in Indonesia, why Indonesia?
Why Indonesia? Yeah, so I think we have a global audience joining the session today. So Indonesia, for those who don't know, it's a huge country just north of Australia. I grew up in Australia. Michael's from Australia. but it's not because of the convenient location that we're starting this project in Indonesia. So some quick stats for those who don't know. Indonesia is the 4th most populous country in the world with 280 million people. And the interesting thing is the population has a median age of 17 years old, which means it's fertile ground for the next generation of blockchain developers and founders. Also, the Indonesian economy is the largest in Southeast Asia and 10th largest globally. And projecting forward, it is projected to be the 4th largest in terms of GDP by 2040, just behind US, China, and India. So that's a big deal. In terms of blockchain adoption, Indonesia is we believe it's in prime position and timing to accelerate the growth in this space. Indonesia is already ranked 7th, according to the Chainalysis 2023 Global Crypto Adoption Index. And that's just a start, because looking ahead, we see even more mass accelerated adoption with businesses and government use cases being onboarded as part of the Digital Indonesia Vision 2045.
Okay, just seeing the potential of Indonesia. I mean, it's the 4th most populous country in the world. It's a very young country that's digitally native. It's like Gen Z. I'm assuming a lot of them already are familiar with blockchain or even holding crypto. And then you said that the other tailwind is that the government is actually investing in this. You have Indonesia 2045. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, good question. So Digital Indonesia Vision 2045 is basically the Indonesian government's digital transformation roadmap. And as part of that, the objective of that roadmap is to transform the economy and elevate it to elite status in order for it to be on its path to be the 4th largest in terms of GDP. And 5 key technologies have been prioritized as part of that journey, including blockchain being featured as one of the top 5, which is also why we're hosting this Bali Blockchain Summit next week, where we will be hosting an audience from stakeholders from business, government, and academia. So it's very, very conducive in terms of timing and location.
Amazing. I just pulled up this from your website because I think it's a good visual for people to see. I mean, it's also a very globally, a very geographically large area that has a lot of different cultures, languages, systems. And I think that's one thing that what you guys are looking to do is actually create like a central authority or truth, rather, like for these different systems and islands and agencies, and it's all communicate together. Does anyone want to speak on that? Maybe Michael.
Yeah. Yep. Happy to. I think the main thing is that like all of these different like regions of Indonesia are semi-autonomous, and so while they do have like a federal and national government, there are sections of Indonesia where there's different kingdoms, and the king of these regions has just been incorporated into the local government. And so there's parts of Java that are still operated under a king, but then the king is just still sits underneath the president of the country. And so there's other places that are like fully democratic and they have like a local mayor or a local governor. And so it is a very unique place where there's a lot of different government systems. I think there's even like an Islamic territory as well, where they have under Islamic law. And so there is this really diverse and really like wide-ranging populace. And so the fact that they have all not only just been open to the idea of adopting a new technology, but are actually actively chasing it is an incredible thing for not just us being the ones to be here, but just the industry in general. The fact that we don't have to go knock on the door and fight them for it. Like Anta's already done the groundwork of that here, and they are like asking for it. And we're getting repeated knocks on the door regularly as well. So now it's just a matter of keeping up and delivering.
And one of those use cases that the government could potentially be interested in is this top level domain or .id. Can you tell us a bit about that?
I think Anta's probably the man for this if his internet connection is still good.
Yeah, I'm still good.
Yeah, go ahead, Anta.
So .id is our top level domain for Indonesia. And what we are seeing is the domain main business is now is disrupting. A lot of business go to from Web 2 to Web 3 domain. It's quite a lot of like that. And we are seeing the opportunity to creating. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you
It's
hear
a
me?
little bit. It's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit shaky, but we can hear you.
Okay. So it's basically this is the mechanism. We giving the government the infrastructure, the new infrastructures of decentralized identifiers using .id. So on the Web3 they say.
I might just jump in for him there, Anta, because
Yeah, hey Anta,
internet's really laggy.
we're losing you, Anta. We're just gonna jump over to Michael.
Basically, it's
Maybe join and rejoin, Anta. Yeah, so like every country has their own domain system, and so in some, like in England it's .uk, Australia it's .au, and it just so happens in Indonesia our domain system ends in .id. And so not everybody is using it for Indonesia though. People are using it for identity. I believe there's even Coinbase has cb.id. And so the government knows this, and so they want to lean into it because there's 100 million people that already interact with some sort of website that ends in .id. So .co.id for business and banking, .go.id for government, and so the idea is that they figure we can create this as sort of like a Web3 standard where there can be a digital identity, and that identity can house a whole bunch of different credentials. It can house a blockchain wallet, your driver's license or your citizenship records or your land titles can all come on chain, and this .id will be able to house it. So you could have Michael.id, and essentially, I guess these 100 million users that are already using the .id domain system are going to start to be prompted when the Mandala mainnet goes live, saying, "Hey, would you like to digitize your identity?" And then essentially they'll be prompted to spin up a wallet, which will be a wallet on Mandala chain. And so that's the premise, and we can obviously see of 100 million people getting actively marketed to digitize their identity. We only need a very small conversion rate to mean a big deal as far as it goes, as far as numbers go in blockchain adoption.
Amazing. Yeah, and I saw a thread that you had done about bringing, I think it was onboarding 10 million users to the Polkadot ecosystem conservatively.
Yeah, I mean, like 10 million users, 10% adoption rate, that's already 10 million users.
Amazing. And so while we're on that subject, I wanted to ask you about why you chose to build on Polkadot, but maybe you could just also just kind of list off a few other use cases, and then we can kind of go into the Polkadot tech.
I don't know if Anta's back there. You wanted to chat about any of the just really high level on some of the other use cases, Anta?
Yeah. So how about my sound now? Is this quite good?
No, it's still glitching,
can you guys?
sorry.
Yeah, it's still glitching, Anta. I think it's
all right. We can cover for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we have a couple of like primary use cases which we'll launch with. We have something like 20 agreements in place for different proofs of concept or different like intentions to be able to build in the ecosystem. And Anta keeps finding more and more and more, which is why he is where he is today. He was summoned by a government department that we've been waiting to hear back from quite some time. And essentially, we've got a few really interesting ones which we're going to roll out with. So we've got a network of banks at the moment, which are already doing a pilot program right now to try and bring their transactions on chain, which could get very interesting for the merger of CeFi and DeFi. We've got different government departments which are going to use the chain for data storage and sort of bringing all of their government records all on chain. We do have like more transactions and payment processing, which will come on chain. Health insurance is another one which we're focusing at. And I guess the real world asset play will be big for us because it's not just about like your land records, but then being able to digitize that as a Web3 asset. So we do have a couple of other replicatable cases where we'll be able to take this tech that we do in Indonesia and then port it over to other governments. And we already have had, I think, 3 other governments now sort of inquire about what's happening, and we're about to sign on with a couple of them. So
amazing.
We do have a large range of different things, but we'll roll out with probably 4 or 5 at launch or shortly thereafter, and then try and expand it from there too.
Very cool. So endless opportunities, it seems, and starting with Indonesia, but have global plans to expand. Okay, so let's go to Polkadot. How did you hear about Polkadot, and why did you decide to start building a Polkadot?
Well, this is really, really cool story, to be honest, because the Web3 community here in Bali is very strong, and there's like a lot of ecosystems that all have a physical presence here. There's quite a number of L1 blockchains that have representatives based in Bali. And so it's a great place if you're in Web3 to be able to participate. And we kind of already knew all of the main players on the island, and we got to sort of pick the dream team, I guess, of all stars to come and participate in Mandala. Adrian had already worked, I believe, in another sort of Polkadot ecosystem project. And we had covered Polkadot extensively as part of my platform, and I was already a big fan of the tech. But when we were drawing up the architecture about how we would create these permissioned environments, but they could still be settled on a public mainnet and have government interacting with people in a decentralized network, Polkadot architecture was the best one for this, because we could kind of mimic the relay chain parachain model, and that was kind of the birth of it. So we weren't, I guess, able to build this initially in sort of like the ETH ecosystem to start with. And really Polkadot was, I guess, the most agile when really for the architecture that we needed.
You mentioned that the Web3 scene is very strong in Bali. Why don't we, Adrian, maybe you could just kind of tell us about what it's like in Bali for developers or entrepreneurs, builders in Web3. And then to add on to that, your plans to kind of grow and engage the community.
Yeah, so I've been in Bali about 10 years, not just Bali, but across Indonesia. And in that time, I think it accelerated with the pandemic. Remote work, digital businesses started to become more of a commonplace thing across Indonesia, and more so in Bali. Bali used to be very much about holidays, conferences, weddings, honeymoons. But with the work remotely wave of builders and entrepreneurs, Bali in the last few years has really grown in the Web3 space. And so we have a very diverse and global community here in Bali, both Indonesians as well as foreigners from Europe, US, all across Asia, and representing many different blockchain ecosystems. Polkadot, being a strong one. So yeah, like Michael mentioned, I met some other blockchain project founders already working on Polkadot. I got onboarded as their head of user adoption and accelerated programs, and then saw the potential of what can be done with Polkadot. And when I got tapped on the shoulder to join Mandala, it was an easy answer. And then so since then, in terms of what I'm trying to do, and to your question about how we want to grow the community of users and developers. Yeah. So as head of academy for Mandala Chain, my answer is going to be biased towards education. But I mean it in a holistic outreach approach. So we've already been running workshops for businesses and government departments, explaining what blockchain is, what the use cases, benefits, and how do you implement. Like Michael mentioned, they're coming to us. We don't have to be door-to-door salespeople. We have a queue of different organizations to visit and run these workshops. So from these workshops, from our biz dev and consulting work, we have a pipeline of all these use cases, as Anta and Michael has mentioned. So what then we do with the use cases is we know that there's also going to be a backlog of talent. There's going to be a lot of demand for talent. So what we're doing in the academy is reverse engineering these use cases, creating coursework that the students can actually work on. So they're not just learning about blockchain fundamentals and coding and just taking a random textbook example. They're actually working on use cases that are relevant to Indonesia. So when they graduate, we can slot them into projects. And when they work and complete those projects, or even when the projects are still in progress, we can showcase these use cases at different outreach events like career fairs, campus roadshows, conferences, you name it. So what we're doing is, holistic outreach and education
Yeah.
of developers, coders, as well as general public. Even if they're not in government or business, or they're not a coder, they'll start to realize actually this is technology that's solving day-to-day problems. I can relate to that. Oh, that's solving for medical records. I can optimize the insurance processing because of this technology. I get it. We can incentivize farmers to a new way of farming that's better for the environment, and they get incentivized in real time. I get it. Everyone wins. So it's not just about blockchain. So getting the message out in a manner that everyone understands and everyone can get involved. That's basically how we're doing it.
That's really cool that the students are having, their projects are real world use cases and not just like, standard boring stuff, as I would say, but actually solving real problems. Is this academy online or in real life? Is like in person?
It's going to be hybrid. We can't be everywhere at once, and the demand for this will be, and the demand for it in terms of talent and also where we need to slot people in for projects is initially across Indonesia, but in future will be beyond Indonesia as well. So it will be hybrid. It will be online, but we encouraging the final week to be in person at either Bali or one of our other locations, and that last week will be it will sort of transition from training to more of a sort of high pressure hackathon situation to get the students familiar with pressure situations in the real world. Got it.
And for those that would like to get involved with this, how can they find out more information? Can they follow you guys on Twitter? Is there a website? Like, what's the best way for entrepreneurs, builders, developers, anyone interested? How can they get involved?
Yeah, so because we have ambitious plans and we have a backlog or a pipeline of projects, we welcome contact from partners to get in touch. They have a project they want to see how blockchain can be beneficial. Developers, even if you're outside of the Polkadot ecosystem, we can see how we can transition you into Polkadot. We have training materials to get you up to scratch. Students, obviously, if you want to learn, get in touch. And also users, like if you want to get hands-on, early preview of what we're building and give us feedback, you can do that. I'm just checking. Am I still online? Yep.
Yeah, you're here.
So we have active communities on Twitter or X, Telegram, and Discord. So, choose the channel that you prefer. We're active across all. And like I said, get in touch if you're a student, instructor, investor, developer, client, project partner. And also, if you're in Bali, get in touch. We're very, very accessible. And if you're in Bali next week, you'll see the Mandala army across the island at all these different events. So come and get in touch and find out more about what we're doing and also what our partners are doing in the space.
Got it. You mentioned next week, so I don't know, maybe come to Michael or you can stay on, Adrian. But what's going on next week? We have the Bali Blockchain Summit at the Bali Blockchain Center. We have a Polkadot hackathon, and then we have Coinfest. Maybe we go over to Michael. Do you want to kind of talk a bit about those? First of all, let's start with the Bali Blockchain Center in Denpasar. Tell us about that, because it's a really cool project.
Yeah, so Anta was effectively gifted a building by the Indonesian government. He's actually here. Go on, Anta, tell us about the Bali Blockchain Center.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I just finally find a right spot. I'm so sorry for this. Is a very sudden flying. So so we have a Bali Blockchain Center. It's basically the first initiative that we're creating in Bali. This is a one big building that is government is giving it to our community because what we are doing is we are focused on blockchain development and blockchain adoption. And with the support of the government, we can go to every single department and learning what is the use cases every day over there. And the government also help us to knocking the door every single use cases, including like hospital insurance, what Michael said before. So in this building, we have this facility, I'm really surprised when we speaking with our mayor of Denpasar City, and we're explaining what we are vision. And when the mayor already getting the idea that this is not only about crypto, but also how we can adapting blockchain on the various fields, they say that this is a new thing, and Bali need another industry, the second biggest industry, and they want to starting using blockchain as the base. So they're giving us quite a big building. You see that there's building. This building is like a 2-story building.
It's massive.
It's massive. It's massive. And I inviting you to come here, every single people in Polkadot community. Come on. This is the Polkadot sanctuary that we built here. And we will hosting Bali Blockchain Summit, which is quite different with there is no blockchain event which is where the government officers, the enterprise, and the academia sitting together, and then we talk about blockchain. But this is everything. It's about how we can creating the digital sovereignty with using blockchain technology for further innovation, and this will be saving all our ecosystems. And you see the speakers, it's quite, most of them is it's the, what do you call it, the government
officials,
so also the ministry. Yeah, some of them is minister. They are speaking about blockchain adoption. But I'm sorry if you're asking which coin will be bullish or bearish. I think this is not the place. But if you are asking about how we can starting to develop, how we can starting to adapting, or what is blockchain can do for the mining industry, maybe not Bitcoin mining. This is, we call it like a real mining, and also how we can doing the decentralized identity. We also inviting Kilt, so Ingo will be one of our panelists on the digital identity, and also there is some use case that we are just signed agreement with about the protection of intellectual property with Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. So this is what we want to giving a refresh media to people about how blockchain can be using, and how this technology can forming our futures and the digital sovereignty, the trustless internet that what we are always talking about.
Got it. Yeah, I actually love this type of event. It's, as you said, it's not about shilling projects or coins. It's like getting down into it and like, how can blockchain solve real world issues? And then that's happening on the 19th and 20th. And then there's also a hackathon being put on. It's a $20,000 prize pool. Yeah, Adrian, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got the full week rundown in front of me, so I can tell you. So
okay, let's do it.
So if you're listening in, take notes, because it's going to be a full week of really high quality interactive events that we are either hosting or sponsoring. So on the Monday is the Polkadot Championship Hackathon, and it's yes, it is a hackathon, but we're also welcoming people who are new to it. So if you're new, we'll give you a bit more guidance. But if you think you're an alpha and you want to go for it, then there's a prize pool in excess of 20,000. So that's on the Monday. So the hackathon carries on until Tuesday, which is the same day as the Bali Blockchain Summit that Anta has explained. So the Bali Blockchain Summit actually ends with the prize giving for the hackathon. So we can sort of converge, the builders on one section of the Bali Blockchain Center to the audience on another section, and bring the two events together. So that's on the Tuesday. And the Tuesday ends with some networking with between government departments, and also it's not just about Indonesian government. There's also visiting government officials from Australia, for example. So it's a very very high profile, very relevant event. So that's Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday we take a break, but we're actually preparing for Thursday, Friday, because Thursday, Friday is Coinfest. Yep, Coinfest Asia. Different vibe. It's more of a festival at a seaside location. Yeah, so you can see there, it's like an open air beach club, and yes, it is a beach club. So dress code wise, I advise you to turn up for warm weather, bring your swimmers. There are pools that you can swim. I've been told you are allowed. Bring your swimmers and a towel. But it is a real Web3 event, so there will be panel discussions, keynote presentations, booth displays, demos, and also activities where attendees can win prizes. And Polkadot is the title sponsor for this year. So we'll be helping Polkadot host a large booth area. So you can come and find out more about, Polkadot technology stack, ecosystem, community. And also meet with partners like ourselves, Mandala Chain, Tilt, Bifrost, Maple Wallet will be there. Also, we've got some alumni from Web3 Foundation earlier in and around our booth and across the event. So
Adrian, I think your mic has cut out. I don't know if Michael, are you hearing the same thing with Adrian?
Yeah, it's a bit muffled.
Yeah.
Muted,
Okay, but maybe Michael, you can.
It's gonna be a big one. We're gonna paint the island pink. We've got all of like the eyes of the whole blockchain industry all here. I think you just saw a little flash of that handsome man Hunter there as one of the speakers. But we'll be highlighting a whole range of different Polkadot ecosystem participants, but also just really sharing like what Mandala Chain is doing as well. Obviously, this is our home turf. We move out of our Bali Blockchain Center and our 500-seat auditorium out to the beach. It's an incredible venue, and Bali's full of these magical different locations, and we're just really looking forward to sharing the tech that we've got. But outside of the actual event, there'll be investor dinners and after parties and all sorts of stuff, and we're really just looking about showing the power of what Polkadot is doing and also what Mandala is doing in the area.
Amazing. And as you mentioned, there is a panel on the main stage with Polkadot ecosystem participants, including Filippo from Web3, Ingo, Kusumarian, Jay, and of course Mandala. I also hear there's some pretty fun side events and after parties and things like that. Anything that caught your eye?
We're hosting a whole range of different stuff. There's an investor dinner, but then there's also a big after party. So we'll make sure that everyone is very aware of what's going on. There's a list of side events on the website as well at coinfest.asia, and I think you can jump inside the Mandala Telegram, and we'll be posting everything that's going on as well. But it's really cool because we're actually able to really highlight some of the incredible things that we've done here. And this is not to show that this is not just fugazi type sort of thing, but this is real. The government of Bali has been really strict with making sure that they're highlighted in the best possible way because they are very serious about adopting this technology, and we're really excited to be able to show the world exactly what's happening in this part of the world.
Yeah, I think Mandala is one of the most exciting projects in the Polkadot ecosystem at the moment. And as we kind of come up on time, I wanted to get your guys' final thoughts on what's ahead and what you're most excited about. And I know that actually Mandala was set to receive an award from the Balinese government. Maybe Anta, you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So tomorrow this is why I'm come back from Jakarta into Bali, because tomorrow we will be getting an award. We granted award the name Swachita Nugraha. This is the award for innovators that the province government of Bali province give us this, because we are creating the innovation. They can helping a lot of ecosystem and also a lot of government, and giving a new mechanisms to creating the decentralized ecosystem. So this grant in this 2024, we got this one, and we are so honored to get it. And tomorrow maybe you will get the news in Twitter.
That's incredible. That's congratulations. The innovation award from the government. That's huge. Yeah, and everyone should keep an eye out on Mandala's Twitter. It's just at Mandala Chain. And as they mentioned, they also have a Telegram community. So I encourage everyone, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, go follow the Twitter and join the Telegram community. What about looking further ahead, like timelines of launch and what's after Coinfest? Maybe Michael will kind of come to you and you can tell us a bit what you're excited about.
Yeah, it's getting very exciting, and we're very thankful to all of those parachain participants in our crowd loan that participated at the start of the year, like at Q1. We are very close to mainnet launch and sort of TGE, and so we're I guess just polishing up the final touches on everything that we wanted to have ready before we go live, which will happen, very imminently. Let's call it, early Q4. So we'll have a whole series of different like sort of retail applications which will go live on the chain, obviously in conjunction with a lot of these government applications which are happening in the background. So this isn't just a government corporate chain. This will be a retail chain where there'll be games and dApps and you'll be able to do all sorts of stuff. So we do have a brand new website which is just coming out as well, which will be revised shortly. So we'll be advertising that and a lot of the features that Mandala chain will have. So make sure you stay tuned on our Twitter, join the Telegram, come get involved in the community. If you have a project and you'd like to deploy, we're more than happy to help and assist with that. We've got lots of different development teams in the region who have come and expressed interest. And we're just about collaborating. Like we've been in contact with lots of the different parachain teams as well. And we're looking just to be as interoperable with other ecosystems and other teams across the ecosystem. So we're very excited. There's lots happening between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, come join the journey.
Amazing. And I would go one step further. Yeah, follow these guys on Twitter and Telegram. But if you have the means to travel to Bali or you're in Southeast Asia, I would encourage everyone to come out for next week and come to the Blockchain Summit, attend the hackathon, and come to Coinfest, meet the Mandala team, meet the other Polkadot parachains there, and just connect with the Web3 community in Southeast Asia. I think it's going to be a really huge event. And I do want to say on behalf of the Polkadot community, thank you guys for organizing the sponsorship of Coinfest. I guess, did anyone else have any closing thoughts? Because if not, I had one question for each of you. Anyone have any closing? Okay, I just wanted to ask, and we'll start with you, Michael, since we have you up on screen. What's your best advice for someone visiting Bali next week for Coinfest? Like, what should they do? What should they avoid? Just one piece of advice you tell your friends.
Be prepared for chaos because it's a very busy place. It's very busy. There's a lot of traffic, but it is a beautiful, beautiful island. We're very lucky to call it our home and to have such a, I don't think there's anywhere in the world where you get this connection of East meets West, where you've got such a really rich history. Not to take too long on this, but I just want to share really briefly, all of Southeast Asia used to be ruled by one empire called the Majapahit Empire. And when that empire collapsed, they all kind of fled, and Bali is the remnants of the life raft of that empire, and it still exists. So you've got this culture that's hundreds of years old, and this empire used a currency called kepeng, and that currency was a gold coin with a square in the middle of it, and it was used right across all the way from from India all the way through to the Philippines up to China. This currency, and obviously when the empire collapsed, it was no longer allowed to be used as fiat currency took over. But this kepeng currency is actually the native token of the Mandala ecosystem.
Okay.
So we are rebooting an ancient currency that has been made dormant and only used for ceremonial purposes. And it's still, you can see it in Bali everywhere. There'll be pictures of the kepeng coin everywhere.
Right.
But it will be the official token of the Mandala chain, not backed by gold anymore that it was made on, but now backed by block space.
Amazing. I love that. I love that tie into the culture and history. Is that the coin that's on the string?
Yes.
Or it's sometimes on a string?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Super interesting. So that's coming in Q4 potentially, you mentioned, the TGE.
Yes, correct.
Anta, your best advice as a local for people visiting Bali, especially next week during Coinfest?
Oh, spend your money in Bali, man. Support our community inside. What I love about blockchain community is we are building from community to community, and then we are empowering community. So what we have in Bali, why we have Bali Blockchain Summit, that is all the vendors, everything that they're built in, the food and everything. It's basic from our SMEs, small medium enterprise in around of the city. Right. So we are supporting community. So this is why you're coming, open, explore Bali, man. You go everywhere. There's a lot of attraction. There's a lot of destination. You can learn about the culture, about Majapahit, what Michael said, and what is going on. And we can spend your money here because it will be supporting community also, and it can giving people understand what we are going, and they will be waiting for blockchain week every single year because of what we are doing to the community also. So this is all my advice.
Awesome. Great advice. Great advice. And um, I can say, having been to Bali one time before that, yeah, it is the most friendly place on earth. So really excited for people that'll be there for the first time. Adrian, you've been in Bali for how many years?
Yeah, over 10 years now.
Over 10
and some
years.
things change, but some things don't change. So before I give advice about next week, so this week, get as much sleep and rest as you can, because like Michael said, next week is not just chaos, there's a lot happening. Then when you arrive in Bali, I just want to reiterate what Anta said. Like, come with an open mind, an open heart, and open wallet. It's kind of like coding, right? Rubbish in, rubbish out. Karma is the same. Good karma in, good karma out. Okay, so come to Bali, with good intentions, and you leave with good results. There's a lot happening. Don't be FOMO about what you're going to miss out on, because it's a community vibe. If you miss one event, you'll probably connect with someone at another event. What else can I say? First timers to Bali, just read up on what apps to download. What for example, the ride sharing apps. Have a look at the map, because all these activities are spread across this beautiful island. So plan. But as I said, if you miss something, don't worry. You have a full week of a lot going on. And if you get confused, just follow Mandala on our channels, and we'll do our best to keep you well informed and safe and welcome to this beautiful place.
Amazing. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining. Huge things ahead from Mandala, and a huge week ahead at Coinfest Asia next week. Follow at Mandala Chain on Twitter, join the Telegram community. Some exciting things happening in Q4, we just heard from Michael. So, and we're going to be sharing a lot of recap videos and posts from Bali next week with the Mandala team and the other Polkadot parachains that'll be there. So make sure to follow both Polkadot and Mandala. And thanks again, guys, for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Evan.
Nice to see you.